The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We got to shuffle real quick here. Michael's got planes, trains, and automobiles. Today is Tuesday, 12th day of June, 2018. Michael's going to pop in. He's going to give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room. When I come back, I'll play intro music. I'll talk to John. I'll go over everything that did not happen in the market today. And I'll have lots of answers to all of your questions. So, namaste. Michael, take it away.
I meant to, but here we go. Okay, there we go. John T., do you mean the 115 class this afternoon? Is that what you're referring to? There will not be. I'm going to be on my way to the airport at 1:15 this afternoon. I don't know how things are going to pan out this week, because tomorrow I have to go to court for custody of my son, and then the rest of the week I have no idea. I mean, I just looked to book hotels, and all the hotels that I normally stay at are all booked up. So I'll be transmitting from somewhere. I just don't know where yet. Okay, and if I get settled down someplace, probably tomorrow night, then I might be able to do something Thursday afternoon. Okay, but if you guys, the classes that I do on Tuesdays, they're basically the same every week. It all depends on the questions. If you don't ask any questions, then I'm just going to go through the trade setups. If you ask questions, then you get more out of it, and everybody benefits from it because I record them and I put them out on the website. But to get to those classes, you just need to go to www.cfrn.net/emini-Tuesday. There's no password required, and anybody can go and watch that. Okay, so go and, if you want to take a look at those, go and take a look. Okay. Okay, now, I know we had some technical difficulties here starting up, and so we're getting off a little late. But let me just jump right into it, okay? We had a red day today, just so everybody knows. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 12th day of June, 2018. Today, well, first of all, if you have not taken our free trial yet, go to the home page here, right here, where it says sign up for the CFRN live training room. 100% free trials, user indicators on our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you'll be brought to, you'll be brought to this page, where all we ask for is your email, your first name, how you found us. Hit that submit button and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't let you took the free trial. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? Okay. Recap. As I said, we had a red day today. Okay, we didn't have a lot of trade opportunities, and we had one small win, 2 stop outs, and 2 break evens today. And we missed 3 trades that were possibly winners, 3 or 4 that were possibly winners. Okay, they would have been break even or a win. But anyway, I'll go through all that in a second. As I said, today is the 12th day of June, 2018. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we lost six ticks on Crude, and we lost 8 ticks on the ES. That put us at minus 160 on the day. We took 5 trade opportunities today. On the month now, we're at $1,017. That's over 8 days, averaging $127 per day. On the year, we're at $17,917. That's over 108 days, averaging $165 per day. $165 per day. Okay. Okay. So, next, what didn't happen in gold? Well, we didn't take a trade setup. There was one right here in the pre-market that would have worked out okay. And then there wasn't another one all day. All day. This is gold, and there was just next to nothing. There, right now, right here, we have lower highs and lower lows. So if I were to draw a trend line, there would have been a short right here. Okay, so you'd be short right here at 1301.6, but look at how it's just steady right there at 1301.6. It's not doing anything. That's the day it's been. Okay, on the euro, here we go. We missed one trade setup right here, right at the beginning of the morning, and that was it. There wasn't another trade setup to be had. Okay, during the break, there was a bounce off the BBC right here that you could have traded for a little bit of a long trade. A little bit of a momentum trade right there. Didn't give you anything. And that's it. Nothing to be had today. Okay. And on crude, we had a stop up. I mean, we had a break even right here. Okay. It looks like we had a momentum long trade right. Oh, no, we didn't have divergence. Sorry. Nope. We had a break even trade right here. We had a +2 right there. We missed that one, which would have been a win. We stopped out on that one. -8 ticks put us at -6. We missed that one, which would have been a win. We missed that one, which would have been a win. So that's 3 that I missed that would have been wins. And we had a break even there. Since then, not a thing. Not a thing. On the ES, we had a short trade right here. It actually should have been a little bit earlier. It should have been a bounce off the BBC, not a close below the trend line. But either way, it would have stopped us out. And it did stop us out. We got -8 ticks on that. And it's just been total junk all the way through. All right, there would have been right in here during the break. There would have been a long opportunity right here, which you'd still be in. It hasn't given 4 ticks yet. It hasn't closed above the MA1 yet. You'd still be in it. Okay. And that was it. That was my morning. And probably the morning of many other people. Okay, we'll go over this again. As I said, today is the 12th. It's Tuesday, the 12th day of June 2018. I lost 6 on crude and I lost 8 on the ES. All right, so we're -160. -160 on the day. We took 5 trade opportunities today. On the month now, we're at 1,017.50. That's over 8 days, averaging 127 per day. And on the year, we are now at 17,917. That's over 108 days, averaging 165 per day. Now, if you have not taken our free trial, go to the homepage here where it says sign up for the CFRN live training room. 100% free trials, user indicator learner strategy. Click here. When you click there, you'll be brought to this page. On this page, all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button. Once you hit that submit button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, well, we don't know that you took the trial. So you must click on the confirmation link. Okay, does anybody have any questions about anything that I just went over? Okay. Well then, I am going to wrap this up and send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, to Dwayne Reeves, who is sitting in Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
That, my brother.
Okay. All right.
Am I ready?
You're ready. Are you ready?
By the way, guys, yesterday, although it didn't need to be said, but as I was departing the show, I drew this little square as we were signing off, and the way the candles were structured at the time, it was pretty obvious what I was saying, is that from the top of this square, which was 27.92, that to the bottom of the square, which was this zone from last week. Oh, it was actually, yeah, from last week. And it works with this one too. But anyway, is that we would have a little 2-point trade there. The doji was my tip-off, right? And also, yeah, it was the doji. And then this candle. And I mean, does it, hopefully by this point, if you've been with us any length of time, you see that it's going to gravitate back to that area. Even though these are last week zones, okay, today's only Tuesday, So last week's zones hold a tremendous amount of sway over the markets. That's why I always encourage you to write them down. It's not as good as having this week's zones, but on Thursday I do reveal them to the entire community. So, you know, until you can save up the money to become a partner, maybe that little tip right there might help you get that money saved up. So do with it as you will. All right. What was the recap of the recap find? So I know it was red.
It was red. We took 5 trades. We're down 160. We had
Okay.
2 stop outs.
Happens. How long has it been
It
since we
does.
had a red day?
Just about a month.
About a month.
Just about a month. And the last one we were down 105. It was the 14th of last month.
So now the fact that we're forced, not forced, but part of our agreement with our partners is that we will trade in live
Obligated.
markets 2 hours a day. And so some days we get to go, you know, 5, 10, 15 minutes, one trade, blah, blah, or 30 minutes and 2 or 3 trades, whatever the case might be. And because we have promised to continue trading the entire 2 hours, we could push that sack of money back across the desk, back and forth a couple of times over the 2 hours. Now, the reverse of that is if we had had more than 2 hours to trade today, I'm sure Mike could have traded his way out of the corner that he painted himself into with red paint.
Yes, indeed.
But, you know, I said in the live training room that hopefully the markets would loosen up a bit as the London markets closed, as they do every day, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. A lot of mornings when we have a quiet session in the live training room, by the time we hit the radio show, the move we've been waiting for, you know, happens during that 30-minute period of time. Because the London traders, of course, they're unwinding their positions and etc. So now,
Yes,
if you look
indeed.
here, okay, you see the swing high of that doji that I put that little trade out yesterday. I'm not gonna call it a live radio trade because I only drew the square, but I think anybody knew. It was just so obvious. Now, what are we doing over here? Don't tell me we're going to put in another doji 23 hours later or something. Maybe. I don't know. We've got 9 minutes left in the life of this candle. So could it come back and do the exact same thing again? It could. Yeah. Important prices, important areas. Almost always tested. So I know you got to run, Michael. Is there any important information you need to relay to me before you go?
Just that I'm not going to be in tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, you knew that already. But
Is he going to
yeah,
pop in
Bert's
and
where,
do some?
Bert's where as well. Yep.
So he's going to do a little slow-mo. Bert and I will be
Yeah.
slow dancing in the live training room tomorrow. So
Yes. Yes. a little slow
Michael's in
dancing.
there every day, kung fu fighting. Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Bye.
But me and Bert, we'll have some Unchained Melody going on.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that song, Unchained Melody? You know how that goes?
No, I don't know that one.
Oh, Michael. Who in the audience knows Unchained Melody? I bet if you type in Unchained, it auto-populates. It sure does. Now, it's the Righteous Brothers, and of course, I'm not going to attempt to sing it. But the lyrics, it's a 1955 song, and of course they've got the lyrics, don't they? It was in the #1 position in 1955 in the United Kingdom, #1 in the United States, Billboard Top 100. It hit #1. Doesn't say which year. Then the Righteous Brothers came along and just, well, how do you say, tore it up. They did. And the song has a lot of meaning to me because I used to have a pub close to where I lived, walking distance, so I would never get the DUI. And my wife was out of town for an extended period of time, and I was missing her very much. And so I would go to this pub back when I was a pub goer. My love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time, and time goes by so slowly. You know that song?
Yeah. I know that song.
Okay.
I know that song.
Well, I was 86 from that bar. Not for drunk and disorderly, but the lady, the barkeep, whatever, she said, if you play that song one more time, you're out of here. Because I had been coming in every day after work, and I would play it, I don't know, a lot. And, well, she challenged me, Michael. She challenged me
Well, that's a shame.
In front of other men, you know, and
You don't typically back down from a challenge.
you know, I couldn't. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my roll of quarters, put about 50 of them into the machine, and I hit the button over and over and over and over and over. And so she just shook her head and she says, "Get out." And I said, "Okay, enjoy the music." And I went home and listened to it on the 8-track or whatever. I don't know. Yep, true story.
Well,
all right, buddy.
True story.
Have a
All
safe trip, and
Thanks.
hope things
Yeah.
go the way we want them to go tomorrow.
I do too.
And,
I do too.
You know, if you have any news, update me. You know, send me a little text message. Now,
I'll let you know.
okay. Now you're gonna stick around Thursday for just because you can.
Well, I don't know where I'm staying. I'm just looking right now. I'm looking up hotels. The place I normally stay isn't available. And if I go down to Connecticut, you know, I'm sure I can stay down in Connecticut somewhere.
Do they?
But
They don't have any youth hostels there.
not with internet connection,
Oh.
where it would be quiet enough for me to do what I do.
Yeah. Well,
But
you'll find something.
my plan is actually to be driving my car back down here finally, Friday night.
Is that the
Be driving down
Escapade?
here. Yeah, the Escalade. Yeah, be
Is
driving
it
that
still
back down
running?
here.
Has somebody been driving it and keeping it up and all that?
Oh,
You
yeah.
drive it
Oh,
when
yeah.
you go there, right?
Yeah, I drive it when I go there.
Okay.
And Zolo's wife, the guy who drives me or who makes sure I get brought back and forth from the airport, his wife drives it when I'm not there.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so important. I think I told the other day the radio somebody about the first Jaguar. I bought a Jaguar. It was a classic, and it was so pristine and so perfect that I only drove it from the point of purchase over to our shelter for battered women and abused children, and I put it in the garage, put a car cover over it, and 5 years later when I came back to check on it, it was like a piece of all the hoses, you know, because the air,
Oh, yeah,
the garage
everything gets
is not
dry
air
rotted.
conditioned. Yeah, the tires are flat, and I'm like, wow, that's how not to treat a classic car.
Yes.
So I pumped up the tires, washed it, and I made it a spiff for the guy who was my sales manager and office manager. And I said, if you could, you know, I gave him a quarter for the week, and I dangled the Jaguar keys, and I said, it's yours. He's like, no way. It was either that or tow it to the
Or you have to do the maintenance on it.
Anyway, if you ever buy a classic car, guys, enjoy it, drive it. I had a 450 SL Classic with the soft and hard top. Man, I drove the stink out of that thing. That was post Jaguar. So, yeah. Anywho, take care, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys. I'll let you know.
There's
I'll
no
let you
John
know when I
out
know.
there or Mike Reed, is there?
Let me go check. No Mike Reed. No John. Nope. You're on your own.
All right, buddy. I got
All right.
this. I got this thing.
Okay. All right. Thanks, brother.
Talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you. I'll let you know what's going on.
All right. Hey, guys. Check this out.
You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Oh, good afternoon. Take two. Today is Tuesday, 12th day of June, 2018. You know, when that guy says, and here's Dwayne, he actually sounds kind of excited. Like he's actually happy to hear from you. So that puts me in a pretty good mood. I don't know if you guys got the same email that I got this morning, but the Chicago Mercantile Exchange has come out with their ETH, Ethereum Futures. They've got two contracts. One is the reference rate, and the other is the index. Aha, is this? Well, now, so why did I get that email today? Because it says here, May 14th. Maybe I should open my email. Did anybody get an email today from the CME speaking about, I see the chat box. Let me get that thing open so we can answer all your questions and then some. So if they launched it in May, because today it sounded like today was go day. Okay, there comes the email. Now let me scroll down a little bit. I'm probably 2 weeks behind on email, guys, so if I haven't gotten back to you, please don't take it personal. CME Group, here's the email. Track the price of Ether dollar. view today's rates now on CME Direct. CME CF Ether Dollar Reference Rate. And then it has a symbol ETH underscore RR underscore USD, and Ether Dollar Real Time Index ETH underscore RTI underscore USD are now live within CME Direct, providing transparent Ether pricing to the marketplace. They can be easily viewed from the menu button, New View, and CME CF Cryptocurrency Indices. It may be that Daniels or Gain Capital cooked up their own symbol. Let's see if I get anything out of CF, because it does mention CF in there. And nope, that doesn't do it. And when you type in ETH, it goes to ethanol. And if you put in an underscore, you got nothing. So now it says it's available from hitting the menu button, New View, and they are now live within CME Direct. Okay, so that must be some type of platform that the CME offers. Track the price of Ether Dollar, and I assume you can trade the index. Learn more about getting set up on CME Direct here. Okay, let's just take a quick gander at that. CME Direct, one-stop trading futures, options, blocks. Okay. Monthly fees, real-time professional market data fees. CME is 105, CBOT's 105, NYMEX, and COMEX. Okay. Yeah, you know, I'm going to have to take a look at this. Some of you might already be familiar with it. I'm not looking to move or change brokers or anything, because I couldn't be happier where I'm at, because our broker of record, not only is he a nice guy and an ex-Marine who said if the stuff ever hits the fan, I can share a foxhole with him. I said, what about my wife and kids? He's like, yeah, okay. So we're good to go in case of an apocalypse. But he also is wicked smart when it comes to trading futures and options. He not only understands our methodology and our indicator set and how it works, he uses it on a daily basis. That's got to say something. And when he takes on a new client, when someone opens, you know, an account with him, by the way, we don't get any kickbacks on that. I'm just saying that because why muddy the water? I mean, when we found out how talented he and Leslie, who is now retired, Leslie has, how talented they were, we wanted to be able to tell the world that they were the best in the business. And if we were getting, you know, some kind of kickback, commissions or finder's fee, it might, you know, throw a little shade on the whole thing. And so we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to step over dollars to pick up pennies. And so we say that Bert's the best because I really believe that. And he'll be in the live training room with me tomorrow morning. What he and I do, we call it slow-mo. Just in comparison to Michael. Michael hits the ground running, you know, right at the bell, unless he's late, and just starts trading. Boom, boom, boom. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not my style. Or Bert's. We take it just a little slower. We use the same indicators, the same rule set, the same everything. The only thing different is we're not in such a big hurry, I guess. Now, looks like I got a bunch of questions in the chat box. Let me take a gander. No class today. He already covered that. Gary, yes, slow dancing, swaying to the music. Oh, what in the world what was the name of that song? I certainly remember it. Okay, Bob S. He got the Righteous Brothers. Oh, from the movie Ghost. Yes, Ghost. And Slow Dancing was the name? Okay, good. Yeah, Patrick Swayze, and what a tragedy that we lost him so young. And then the other guy that's in every movie, Kevin Bacon. Around the same time, it was a summer, I think, of great movies. Now these might not have been the same summer, but they were close. You had your Top Gun, you had your Dirty Dancing, you had your Ghost. Let's see, Dirty Dancing, Top Gun, Ghost, Flashdance, and there's one more I'm thinking of. Oh, it might have been about the same time that Back to the Future came out. See, when my wife and I first got together, when we were courting, as they say, we didn't have a lot of extra disposable income. And our house didn't have an air conditioner. It had a swamp cooler. And most people outside of Arizona don't know what a swamp cooler is. The real name's an evaporative cooler. And if you're that interested, you can Google it. But it's because we have such dry heat here. You know, people go, I say it's 115. They go, well, it's a dry heat. You know, so's hell. I don't want to go there. But because it is a dry heat, the swamp cooler, the evaporative cooler, will work in this climate. And it will keep you cool right up until August, from August like to the beginning of September. Humidity rises and the swamp coolers stop working. So when you're young and don't have a lot of disposable income, you go to the dollar movie theater. Yes, $1. And you sit in this cool, air-conditioned comfort, and you don't even care what movie's on. You're just there for the air. You get 2 hours of air conditioning for $1. I mean, that's a great deal. And so we would go just about every afternoon for a long time, until we moved up in the world and got our own air conditioner. Yeah, so that was pretty sweet. Anyway, what y'all want to talk about today? Evaps drop temp by 20 degrees if low humidity. Yes, it certainly does. It certainly does. Gary says Johnny Rivers sang Slow Dancing. Okay. Now, Bob, you seem to know a lot about the evaporative cooler, or the swamp cooler as we call it. Do you know how that was originally invented? All right. He said no. I think he said no just so I could look smart. Well, in Phoenix, the menfolk with money, they would send the wife and kids up to Prescott during the hot summer months because it's about 20 degrees cooler up there, give or take. Now, some guy figured out that if he took a bed sheet and got it soaking wet in some, cool water, and a lot of beds back then, they have they called it a four-poster bed, or anyway, it had the thing. And so he hung the sheet at the foot of the bed. It's hanging like if you're laying in bed and you look, you don't see TV, you just see the sheet. He then put an electric fan on the other side of the sheet, and he directed the air from that fan to blow through the wet sheet. And guess what? It dropped the temperature in that bed by about 20 degrees. And I don't know if he said eureka or not. It's possible. But he went on to invent the evaporative cooler. And I just don't know how people managed to live here in the desert before air conditioning, before swamp cooling. Now, this is true that it wasn't as hot back then. And it's not because of global warming. Back then, there were dirt. Central Avenue was a dirt road. All this concrete from all the roads and all the sidewalks and all the neighborhoods, it holds the heat. Now, in the middle of summer, see, like right now, it's not so bad because it'll go up and and tap 100 in the afternoon, but at night it'll drop back down to about 65, 70. Where you have your problem is right as we're heading into that humidity. The high of the day will be 118, and then the overnight low will be 101. Oh man, you swear this is your last summer in Phoenix every year. I've been saying that now for how long I've been here? About 35 years. Yep. We run from our house to our car to our office, back to our car, and back to our house. You don't do stuff outside. It just I don't. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back now. Okay, so did you understand that explanation there, Bob, on how the fan and the wet sheet, how that was a very crude, but a smart guy that figured out that that would work. So anyway, now normally we go over the numbers at the top of the show, but we didn't get a chance because Michael had to go first. So let's just take a look and see what's happening in cash markets around the world today. And then we'll go to the futures. The Dow is currently down less than a point. NASDAQ is up 40 points. S&P 500 is up 5, and the Russell 2000 is up 11. The NASDAQ's a mover and shaker. That's a little over 0.5%. And the Russell 2000, that's a little over 0.5%. Crude oil up 31 cents, trading 66.41 last. Gold, unfortunately, down $2.39, trading 1,380 last. Now, I put a long-term gold tweet out last night. It was the only thing I could put out because there just wasn't anything else going on. So we'll talk more about that in just a moment. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed up 74 points. The Shanghai closed up 27. Now, that's almost 1% for the Shanghai. The Hang Seng up 39 points at the close. And all right, so green day in Asia. European markets, a red day. FTSE closed down 33 points. The DAX was down less than a point. And the CAC fell 20 points. So red day Europe, green day Asia, and a slightly mixed day here in the U.S. until the Dow gets on the right. The Dow's still down less than 1 point. So the markets are trading. They're moving. It's a sideways shuffle into the Fed announcement tomorrow. Now, John and I talked about this yesterday. Since the consensus on the street is that the quarter-point hike is completely baked into the cake, I'm curious why traders, and that's from the retail trader all the way up to JB Diamond and his Rat Pack, why are they being so cautious? I think somebody knows something about something. I mean, it's not unusual to be quiet and go sideways into the Fed. But we haven't seen so much of that of late, especially with Janet at the helm, because she always telegraphed what she was doing. Ben Bernanke, goodness, when he took office, he said, I'm going to revive this economy. If I have to fly over America, throwing out $100 bills, I'll do it. And so if you've ever wondered why I call him Helicopter Ben, that's why, because he really did make that statement. So the markets are quiet globally. We have a Fed announcement tomorrow afternoon. Now, here's the thing. The Fed announcement is tomorrow. This gentleman, you know what? It was part of a tweet last night. Let me just read that to you. The only tweet, because, like I said, there just wasn't much going on. This is a good trade, and you probably want to write this down, or you can go to twitter.com/CFRN. Yeah. Click the follow button, and If you want it to be sent to your phone or to your email, you can do that every time I tweet. Or you can just check it on Twitter. However you want to go. So now this thread feature that Twitter's come out with, I like it, but it can be confusing. So you got to scroll all the way down and find the first tweet in the thread. And that last night would have been, I guess this one right here. Yeah. Consider buying gold. Let's go to gold. What do I got? I got gold on a monthly there. We'll talk about that in some detail in a bit. You know, for now, we'll just clear this out. And we'll clear this other stuff out. Okay, this is the continuous gold contract monthly. Look, we're going all the way back to January of 2011. So there's a lot of information here. Now, here's what the tweet said. If the opportunity presents, and I have no doubt that it will, consider buying gold at 1310 on a stop, target 1325, that's 15 points. Second target 1350, so now we're up to 40 points. Third target 1450. So from 1310 to 1450, that's 140 points. Okay. Stop loss as taught in our one-on-one mentoring sessions. Now, this trade idea will require holding contracts overnight, which means you'll have to suffer the full margin, and you need to talk to your broker. If it's Bert, just call him up, Bert, 866-928-3310, and say, hey, Bert, based on my account balance, if I want to do this gold trade, now, of course, you have to earn the right to trade more than one contract. So let's not forget that. Okay, all right. Now, from 1310 to 1450, the entry's 1310, the third target is at 1450. The potential profit here is $14,000 per contract. Patience and margin are all you need. If you have both, I'll whisper in your ear, there is a fourth and final target at 1550. Now, if the trade presents and comes together, adding that fourth and final contract bumps the profit potential to $24,000 per contract. In other words, if you're one of those folks who have earned the right to trade 10 contracts, and you know how we do it, one at a time, it's all in the 24/20 blueprint. You add one, you earn enough money to trade 2, and then you earn enough money to trade 3. Yeah, you got it. So, if you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, this trade has a $250,000 profit potential. Once your buy stop is filled, back away from the mouse, because we know something that some folks don't know. Important prices in important areas are almost always tested. If price rallies up to 1450, the third target that I just gave you, a 38% Fibonacci retracement takes us back to 1295-ish. So think about this now. All right, we're in at 1310. We go all the way up to 1450. We get a 38% Fibonacci retracement of the last leg up. And we just went from headlines to bread lines. We went from hero to less than zero. Now the question is do you have the stomach for that? A lot of people don't. It's very difficult. And I'm no different. I mean, You walk into your office, you look at the screen, you get the big old smile on your face, and then 2 hours later you come back and you're not so smiley, right? Now, because we know that important prices in important areas are almost always tested, and we say it over and over and over, why do we get so rattled when it actually happens? The very thing that we anticipate happening happens, and we're like, and it becomes a real nail biter, because that incredibly profitable trade is now underwater just because of a simple 38% Fibonacci retracement. And we all know that healthy markets will always have pullbacks. That's what keeps it going. Pull back, rest, and then expend some energy, and rest, expend some energy. Leg retrace, leg retrace. You guys have seen it and heard it more than most people. Now, swing trading is not easy, but it can be simple. If you decide to participate in this trade idea, once we reach the first target, I want you to call me, okay? We don't have to do a full-blown mentoring session, but I think we should talk for 5 minutes over the phone, because I kind of want to feel you out, where you're at, emotionally, mentally, the whole thing, because there's a couple of different ways that you can handle this, and I'll share those with you, okay? Not now, but when we reach the first target. Now, if you do not have an exit strategy, we'll put one together based on the current market conditions at that time, okay? Now, you got to have a hard stop. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your exit strategy. I'm sitting on 10 contracts, and when am I going to peel one off? When am I going to peel the next one off? Mark Douglas says, you pay yourself on the way up or on the way down, okay? Until you're down to your smallest portion, which if you're trading 10, when you're down to 1 or 2, maybe 3, that's when you tighten your stop up and you trail it as long as you can until the market turns around and takes you out, okay? If you're stopped out prematurely on one of these pullbacks, I also want you to call me and we'll discuss re-entering the trade when and where the chart tells us to. Now, this comment I made last night, Globex tonight is eerily quiet. Perhaps a slow sideways shuffle into the Fed on Wednesday. The consensus on the street says a quarter-point hike is baked into the cake. I don't disagree. However, the new Fed head is committed to showing the world he's not afraid of disrupting the markets. That was his opening salvo when he took office. I believe the first opportunity he has to show us his stones, he will. So we want to be prepared for that. Okay? Now, I know that many of you are up to the 10 contract level. And again, if you're trading 10, from 1310 up to that fourth target, that's a $250,000 profit potential. I don't put those out on a regular basis because typically we want to be flat at the close so that when 6 p.m. Eastern rolls around and Globex cranks up, we can crank it up again ourselves, and our day margins are in effect. As long as you don't hold an order open, you're in a trade and you hold it open for that 1 hour when they're sweeping the floor and emptying the ashtrays, you go from $500 to $5,000 on the S&P. Okay? But if you're flat at the close and then open a trade at 6:01 p.m. Eastern, you're back on day margins, $500. So that's why I don't throw out a lot of $250,000 trades, because I'm teaching you, Michael's teaching you, part of our methodology is that you're you're flat way before the close because you come in, whatever time you come in, you go to work, and the goal is to reach your daily goal, take the money, and put the mouse away. So hopefully you're all done before. And I know a lot of people are working the night shift now, and by the night shift, they're taking the Concierge Trade Alerts and or the tweets, or a combination of the two, along with the weekly trading zones, and they're just getting, like, today's Tuesday. Last night didn't offer any opportunity, but on a typical night, you can, if you want to, get your goal for the day, and then when the live training room opens, you're in kickback mode, listening and learning, because you already got your goal for the day. What a beautiful way to start the day when you already have your goal. And to those traders who are on Pacific time, even though I'm in Phoenix and we got no ocean, I'm on Pacific time 8 months out of the year because we don't do daylight savings time. If you can stay awake until midnight, you can trade the London Open, which is fantastic. I believe it has some high energy like the Wall Street Open, but what it doesn't do is it's not so herky-jerky, back and forth. It's a little smoother entry. So if you've never traded the London Open, you owe it to yourself to try it once. And so for an East Coast guy, that means you got to get up at 3:30 in the morning to trade it. It doesn't sound as appealing. But the West Coast guy, well, you're out surfing till dark anyway, right? Come home, you take a shower, you sit down, midnight rolls around, 12:30, London Open, bada boom, bada bing. You know, in hopefully 2 hours or less, you've got your goal for the day. Go to bed, sleep in a little bit, and wake up and come hang out in the training room and come to the radio show. All right? So try it, because I really do think you'll like it. All right? Okay. So again, back to the goal. We want to be in 1310, which is right about here. Here-ish. They aren't going to be exact. So 1310. And then the next is 1325. Oh my goodness, I haven't checked to see if John is patiently waiting. I need to do that real quick, and we can continue with this a little later. So, I mean, there's not a room there. I can scale it out like that. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let me look and see if John's here. Well, I don't see him. I hope he didn't get mad and go home. No, there he is. There he is right there. John, welcome to the show. I'm so sorry I kept you waiting so long.
That's okay. Well, it was a kind of an eventful night.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't find any events anywhere. Tell me where you found it.
You know, the summits, the north in Singapore.
Oh, well, no. Say that again. Oh,
Well, I said it was an eventful night.
Not in the markets. Okay, now I'm with you. Now I'm on the same page. Okay. Yeah. So, how do you think that went?
I think it went great. I think it went very well. And I was, you know, it was kind of interesting. Sometimes can take something like what happened last night to sort of convert more viewers towards Trump, because you know, CNN, to be honest, were fairly good on their coverage over the last 24 hours until they start the follow-up commentary.
Right.
Then they go back to their usual ways. But they did a pretty good job reporting on the proceedings, and I thought it was appropriate for Trump to thank all the press for their coverage, and he did it a couple of times.
Okay.
So I think it was some sort of a thawing of.
Is he learning how to be presidential?
Yeah, I think he's doing fine.
I don't think he'll ever be that politically. He'll never be Barack Obama. Thank God.
Well, look, he's changed. He's changed the dynamic forever.
Growing into this job. I mean, he's become. He is the president of the United States of America, but he's becoming. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, he's doing fine, and look, he can get a bit irate at times, but usually it's justified, and it was definitely justified regarding Canada and the way they behaved. He's doing everything right. He's doing the best for America, and I mean, look, you only have to, if you add up everything that he's done single-handedly for the country, from getting a better deal on Air Force One, to getting a discount on the F-35, to getting almost $500 billion worth of arms deals from everybody around the world, and they don't want to give him a wall. I mean, it's a disgrace. It's pathetic. Yeah. He's added $500 billion to the balance, and all the jobs and all the work. And I mean, look, it's the building the wall is going to create a lot of jobs, and it's going to create a lot of employment in where it needed, right down there on the border. There's a lot of poverty. Some of the poorest states are along the border.
Right.
Not poorest states, poorest counties. So
yeah, you're right.
Because
you just brought up something else I want to talk to you about in a minute. The
Texas economy is bigger than Mexico. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. But I thought, yesterday on this Cuomo show, Dennis Rodman was interviewed, and it was a powerful interview, one of the best interviews that was being aired on CNN. Really? And he wore a "Make America Great Again" hat, for everybody to see. And he probably did a Kanye West. He probably swung another 10% of the black vote towards Trump, because, he's a very, unusual guy. And
does he still wear the wedding dress thing? Does he still do that? Or
I don't know. But look, it was a very heartfelt interview yesterday, and he was somewhat, helpful and instrumental in putting these two people together. And
he's going to reach people that nobody else.
Yeah, and he also got rejected. He tried to, approach Obama. He was rejected, and he said it loud and clear last night. And and the president actually sent a message to him to thank him for his contribution. So, this was a kind of a an epic moment.
Yeah, because what you just said about the black vote. I guess that's the correct term. But I think you also just said that we've got a shot at the LGBT vote.
I didn't say that, but
No, you didn't. But what you said about Dennis, I don't know what he does behind closed doors, but I have to believe, because of the whole wedding dress thing, and I don't even know too much about that, but I have to believe that he has the ear of the LGBT community.
Yeah, most probably. Look, this was a riveting interview. It was I thought it was.
I'll have to go watch it.
Yeah, and it was quite lengthy, and he went over a lot of issues, and he came across very.
Is he a smart guy? I've never heard an interview with him.
Yeah, no, he's a smart guy. He's had a pretty successful life. He's had a few, he's had a few downers, and but he's picked himself up, and he certainly came across as very convincing yesterday in what was just an extraordinary, I would call, it was a kind of a riveting interview, but it was extraordinary as well. And for him to just brazenly go on CNN with his "Make America Great Again" hat, I thought it was brilliant. Because I think he actually showed up the interview in a lot of ways yesterday. But to be fair to Chris Cuomo, who I don't particularly like, normally he was very gracious towards him, and I thought it was a very well conducted interview. So the whole look, time will tell how the Korean thing will work out. But I thought, it went as well. I think it went better than expected for everybody, because it was very well choreographed, the whole thing. There were no slip ups really, and probably couldn't have gone better. I thought it went very well. So the markets are reacting somewhat to that today. They're also reacting to the 2% CPI this morning, and the gold and silver both rallied back up, but they seem to be coming off a bit right now, ahead of the Fed tomorrow. I think the market. I've been working on something that I sort of hinted about a week ago. I've kind of got a way of picking, trading in and out of stocks intraday, and it's been working just unbelievably well in the last few weeks since I've been using it, and it almost gives me a sense ahead of time of what's coming.
Is this an indicator-based thing, or something you'd run on a spreadsheet?
No, it's just something that I've developed, and I'll tell you what it did. I actually went long the VIXs this morning. They rallied, not hugely. They went up about 50 points. For like 1,000 shares would be $500. And right at the top, it gave me a sell. I mean, bang. and the beauty of that is it gave me a buy signal on the market. And look how much we've gone up since then. We've gone up probably 40 points on the NASDAQ. And I'm getting a sell now, by the way, just for what it's worth. And I got a buy on GILD this morning. It's gone up 1,000, whole point off the lows. Now, it was a very difficult buy, but this thing gave a very clear buy, because it looked like it was tanking. And I got a buy on NVIDIA today, which is in a kind of a weak spot at the moment. It's not been acting very well, but it went up about a point or more, maybe a point and a half. The best performing, yesterday afternoon, I got a buy on Intercept, and I'm still on a buy, and it's up $5. And so what I was saying days ago, that if I was a CEO of a big company, like Gilead or Celgene, I'd be buying that. I'd certainly buy. If you'd taken a stake in it, you'd be looking pretty smart right now. You'd be up 20% on your stake in a week. How about that?
Ask that again.
I said if one of those giants had taken a stake in Intercept, like I was saying they should, a week ago, they'd be up 20% already. And by taking a stake, they probably would have been up 20%. So right, 40% more like. So Intercept, and we've been talking about Intercept for a while.
I'm going to bring it up the chart right now. ICPT. Right? Except, I have this, anybody familiar with TradingView, can you tell me how to get back on candles? Because they did something really nice, because we use range bars, Don. They created range bars for this platform because they'd like us, of course, to do business over there. We're not looking to leave Daniels by any stretch of the imagination, but just to have another platform that our indicators can run on. They did the range, but look what they did. Okay, that's like a 1 tick range, a 10 tick range, a 100 tick range, and a 1,000 tick range. I got to call them this afternoon and see if they can make us a 4 tick range because that's what we use. You need to get that?
No, it's okay.
I can't. I just don't know how to turn this thing back to candles. I don't know how it got changed, but I know you use bars anyway, don't you? You said that the other day.
Yeah, no, I use candles too, but
Let me go back to a daily. Ah, you see what it is? It has to do with if you're using the range, it comes out in bars. Okay, so this is daily on ICPT, and is there any particular time frame do you want to point anything out on?
can you go? Well, just
There's
can you
30 minutes. That's not,
yeah, can you
something's wrong.
can you squeeze it up? Can you squeeze it up?
Yeah, I
To
can. But last night I was comparing silver to gold, and I did something to my chart. Compare. I don't want to compare to anything. Nothing. Input style candles, yeah. I don't. I'm gonna have to call the guys over there and ask them. Oh, there's a silver now. Just take that out. Okay. Now we get rid of all that extra stuff and silver. Okay. Well, I should have made them disappear. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
So, can you bring up the daily on that?
Oh, sure I can. Yeah. Compare. Oh, format. No, that's not it. All right. Compare. It's not overly the main chart. I don't know. Will that do it? Well, try a different symbol. I don't spend a. Okay, I think that did it. I think we finally blew out ICPT on a daily. Here it comes. I need to spend more time with this. There's a little bit of code for it, but no, it's not. It's still running that silver. All right, this is daily, but it's not. I know it's something very simple that a person needs to do to get it right. And so I'm sorry, but it's really hard to work with right now, I know, for you to be able to talk about it.
The market's actually acting really well. I think there's going to be a little bit of a pullback with the Fed, ahead of the Fed tomorrow, or you got to be careful if the market's going into the Fed fairly strong. Sometimes it can sell off. If it goes in weak, it usually rallies. If it goes in strong, it tends to sell off. So that's something to keep a thought about. You remember I mentioned the grains yesterday? We did get a bit of a pop this morning, but they don't appear to be ready to go just yet. But the wheat is up a lot. It's up about 16, and the corn is up 10 points as well. I am starting. I remember I mentioned a while back. Keep an eye on coffee. Coffee is actually giving me a bit of a buy signal here right now, and the cocoa. We rallied up about it. It got down to 22 something or 20. I think we got down to 22 or maybe the low 23s, 22, and it's jumped up to 24 today. So we had a pretty good rebound. Lumber, which we said might break down again, has gone limit down again. This time it's making new lows on the limit. So it's definitely, it's lost almost 100 points since our sell right up near the highs. with some rallies in between. The gold after rallying this morning, it's coming off again. So it looks like they're going to knock the gold down ahead of the ahead of this Fed.
Did you catch the trade
tomorrow.
I was talking about that we put out last night?
No, I didn't. No.
This is a trade where people will have to hold overnight. It could last. It could last a week, 2 weeks, a month. I don't know, but this is what I see happening. The entry we're looking for, we want to buy 1310 on a stop. First target's 1325, then 1350, then 1450, and then 1550. Potential profit in this trade is $24,000 per contract. Now that's if you rode it all the way and got out exactly 1550. In the perfect world that none of us live in. But for a 10 contract trader, that's a $250,000 trade. I mean, and I fully believe that price will. I know we're going to trigger 1310, and it's going to take time. How long? I don't know. But we're ultimately going to see 1550. Now, the question is once we cross. Well, for instance, if we draw fibs, as I did last night when I put the tweet out and I explained this in detail, okay, on this last leg up, if we go from that low up to 1450, which is the third target, a 38% retracement is going to bring us back. I said to the 38%. That's actually a 50% retracement. A 38 would bring us back to 1325. So I put in the tweet, not a lot of people have the stomach for this type of trading. It takes a whole different mentality than someone who is trading intraday. I mean, just think, you get into 1310, you run all the way up to 1450, you're feeling very clever, and then all of a sudden you turn around and the market has done a perfectly normal thing, a 38% Fibonacci retracement, and now you only have 15 points profit in the trade, and you got to ride that thing out. Now, I want to work with people who are in the trade. I told them when they get to the first target, call me, because if we know that important prices in important areas are almost always tested, as this thing starts to run, we know what to look for that tells us it's going back to test one of the previous areas. We can take profit, let it come back, test, and as it starts to rally again, pick it up and go with it again. Okay, so I'll work with people individually, one-on-one. You're going to have to, tell me your goal, how important this is to you, what sort of money you're working with. Now, I'm not a licensed investment advisor, so I'll be very careful in the manner that I lay this out, because I'm not going to tell you to do anything or tell you how to do something. I'm just going to paint you a picture of, if I was in your chair, what I would do. And hopefully this is going to turn out to be, a nice trade. Now, because look over here, okay, if we scrunch this up a little bit, we can see from 1550, how long did it take to go to 1310? It took, this is a monthly chart, it took 1 month, 2 months, and it almost got there in the first month, but it ended up taking like 2.5 months, I suppose. From 1550 to 1310, and markets tend to fall faster than they rise. So, I mean, this could be a 90-day trade. It's just something you put on the shelf and you let it mature. And you don't freak out when you have a nice, healthy retracement. Because you should be more afraid if you don't have a retracement, because it's going to run out of steam, and, that retracement could become a reversal. So, anyway, a couple people have asked me if your Twitter feed is down today.
It sort
Three
of is.
people,
I haven't been able to. I've just been too busy to do anything on Twitter today.
Okay. And
Since yesterday.
Gary said that Dennis Rodman wore a wedding dress to marry himself that day in New York. It had nothing to do with being gay, although he did hang out in gay and lesbian bars when he played in Chicago, although he had girlfriends. And so Gary says, I don't know, what it is he labels himself as. But is he still playing ball? Does he still play?
Only. I don't. He's only playing kind of demonstrators. I think something like that.
He was in a. Did he go to the foreign league or something? One of those in another country? Did he play there at some point?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, yeah, I'm not a big sports guy. So.
By the way, using this thing that I told you about, talking about earlier on, if you remember, Madrigal got up to about 323. We put a sell on it at about 321 or somewhere like that. It actually went to a buy this morning, and from 270, 271, somewhere like that, and it's up.
MDGL.
Yeah, it went from actually no, it gave us a buy. It gave us a buy around 270 this morning, and it's at 288 right now. So how about that? that's pretty incredible.
Hang on, I got to get rid of this. I'm sure people in the audience have figured out what I'm doing. It's the wrong way to fix the problem. I'll get the right way down. Okay, so here's Madrigal Pharmaceutical. They had the gap higher open. When was that? Back on 531. I don't see an E, so that wasn't an earnings gap. Do you recall?
No, it was the study. Remember the.
Oh, right. Okay. Gotcha. And so, boy, that thing gapped and ran, and got a little pull back here, right to the step line. That should give it another leg up to the CFMA1, which will be sort of a double top. Do you think it's going to rally beyond that this go around?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's a very powerful stock. Okay. It's you have to sort of play it. If it turns down, we'd sell it. But right now, it's still looking pretty strong. And actually, the Twitter on my work on the Twitter, which we've been very bullish on, actually coming to a little bit of a sell here now. The Twitter, it gave us a buy down below 30 in the 27, I think, is where we picked it up originally, and then it had a bit of a pullback from. That's just a second. Yeah, it got up to about 34, 33 and a half, 34. Then it pulled back to 33. Then it from the 33, we've got a really good buy signal. And ever since then, it's been unstoppable to the upside. Hit 44 this morning. I
mean, gosh, what better testimonial than the president is using your product every day?
Yeah.
To communicate with his fellow Americans and to keep the media on watch.
Yeah. It's taken a while, for the Twitter to. But I mean, look, when you look at Trump's tweets these days, I mean, it's almost like reading a few pages of a book every day because there's an awful lot in there these days to keep up with, and the whole Twitter presentation is getting better and better. With occasional snafus, and sometimes the spelling is a little bit off. But one of the other things I wanted to say is Paul Tudor Jones was interviewed this morning on CNBC. Actually met him one time in New York.
Did you ever meet Robin, who used to be, she was like a psychology coach for traders and tennis players, but she used to be on the show.
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know if you remember her or not, but anyway, she had she was not allowed to tell people who she worked for until she no longer worked for him, and it was Paul Tudor Jones. She was coaching his guys, and now she isn't, so she can talk about it.
Yeah, I actually met him before he was famous. You know, it was back in quite a long time ago, before he really got going. But he was pretty good when, you know, he was already a bit of a legend when I met him. The But anyway, he made some very good points this morning, which are very much in our thinking. Which is, he sees a crazy, you know, I put just to make the point. I came out long before this interview and said 27,750 on the Dow. I'd say it's almost a shoe-in now, but 30,000 cannot be discounted. 29,000, 30,000. I think we could even go all the way to 32. You know, I'm looking for 11,000 on the Nasdaq. I mean, we hit a new high this morning, 7,700 on the Nasdaq. I had that as a target quite a while ago. Actually, 7,700. I'm looking for probably 3,000 to 3,300 on the S&P, 3,350. And so we're in for some real fireworks, and that's basically what Paul Tudor Jones said today. But he thinks that it might go more into the end of the year, and I kind of agree with him. Unless we go into, I mean, if the stock market goes berserk on tomorrow's announcement on the Fed and just keeps going, we might be in for a sort of a, you know, some sort of a 87 light type of thing, you know, from July through October. But beyond that, we could be, you know, barring a catastrophic decline, we could be making new highs into the end of the year. And that's what he thinks. And if you remember, I said, you know, if Trump does sweep the midterms and the market's really on fire going into the end of the year, and we're making new all-time highs, it's going to be incredibly bullish for Trump, because if we're making new all-time highs going into 19, right? I mean, and so this year is going to look like another up year, maybe up 10, 20% by the end of the year. We're probably going to go up another 10% in 19. That there's enough ongoing economic momentum to keep the economy strong all the way into the 20s and all the way into 2020. There's never been, I don't think there's ever been well, probably apart from the 50s, when presidents were reelected anyway, and there's probably never been a 4-year period without a recession, you know, of some sort, or some sort of a serious pullback in the markets. So, with the possible exception of the 90s, you know, you had the rate. So the times when that's happened, when we've had this 8-year streak, you've had we had a recession in 82, right? So, but the market had recovered enough, and the economy had recovered enough to give Reagan a landslide victory in 84. Okay. Clinton, remember, we were coming off we had a recession in 92 with Clinton. So, but he got reelected in 96. So this is a very different scenario, you know, the 4 years, because if we get through these 4 years, you know, we've actually come in, you know, growing, not in a recession, and we haven't had a recession yet, and there probably isn't one in sight for a year or two more. This is going to be a unique period in U.S. history, and it's going to be very interesting to see how voters react, you know, after 3 or 4 years of nonstop growth. The general feeling is that in the past, usually recessions were sort of created a year or two before a re-election, so that everybody's feeling miserable, and then by the time the election comes around, everybody's feeling a whole lot better. Personally, I think this is a better idea to keep the economy growing, and they really don't have much choice because if this economy tanked, I think it would have dire consequences, simply because the debt being as big as it is, it would put the economy in all kinds of jeopardy. So the fact that the economy is as strong as it is, and for as long as it has been, is an incredibly blessed time for everybody, and especially today with more job openings than people to hire. There's never been a situation like that. And if, by the grace of God, we get down to 3.2% unemployment or even lower, it's really going to be nirvana. It's going to help. It's going to take a lot of the homeless off the streets. It's going to give everybody a leg up. And got a friend at UPS, and he said he used to be able to hire people. He can't find anybody to work now. He's having a real tough time.
That's kind of how it was when you and I met. It was either 98 or 99, and the tech boom was in full swing, and I always tried to pay a little bit above minimum wage for my entry-level employees. I had 50 people at the time. Now, the big dogs, they earned commission. And the entry-level people could earn hourly versus commission, whichever was the highest of the two at the end of the week. That's what I would pay them. But all of a sudden, I was getting outbid by McDonald's across the street. I didn't, and plus at McDonald's you get a uniform. And I didn't have any uniforms to give them, and so women love a man in uniform, so the guys would go to work over there. I had guys knocking down $2,000-3,000 a week, and I had guys sitting right next to them making, I think I paid $7 an hour back then, and that's been a while. But to compete in this new environment, it would be interesting. I would see that as a real challenge. I mean, for the people who need the jobs and are getting the raises, the guy in San Francisco that's working an entry-level job now making $14 an hour, that's awesome for him, and I'm very happy for those people. But that money's got to come from somewhere. So if it's a sandwich shop, the price of the sandwiches have to go up. Right? Because the cost of doing business for the owner of that shop is not going to go down. So it creates, it's a good problem to have, I suppose, but it's not a great problem if you're the guy that owns the business. So.
Just this one. Listen, I better wrap it up. We'll catch you tomorrow. Okay.
All right, Jeff.
Thanks.
Take care. And just like that, he was gone. I got a feeling that was the bat phone ringing, because he usually likes to hang out and chat. Okay, S&P 500 last night on the Concierge Trade Alerts. Well, we had this little end of the radio show trade yesterday, is 2 points. Consider buying 27.93. We made it up 1 point, 27.94. If you look left, I was pushing it out so far, I should have pushed it another couple points, and it would have just kept us out of the trade. And if the opportunity presents, if this turns into a sell-off, consider selling 27.82. That was the word we put out. Now, where is that word? There it is. Okay. For anyone that wants to take a screenshot, now would be the time. I'm going to drag it over. And did I highlight? I wrote this last night, so I was speaking of Sunday night. Did I highlight last night's results because it was a great night? Answer: no. I've been waiting for an exceptionally weak night to begin this process. And then I also threw in that last night's street was good for, and that's again speaking of Sunday night, for 3 S&P points from entry to target. Roll forward all the M contracts to you. Now that's with the exception of gold. Okay, and I should have put that in. Gold, you should be on GGCQ, and we rolled that several weeks ago. Okay. Now, what I did last night that's different. This is how the Concierge Trade Alerts have looked for years. Okay. And I don't know that I'll take the time to do it every night, but I want to. So if I have the time, I'm going to do it. So this is last night's tweet by 27.93 or so, 27.92, whichever opportunity presents. Now, speaking of Sunday night, because I wrote this last night, on the S&P we had 7 points available, or 13 points if you rode the drawdown. Okay. On the Dow, this is today by 25, or began last night by 25,430, so 25,290. The previous night, last night, Sunday night, there were 4 triggers on the Dow, up 39, up 87, up 76, up 107. So you've had a chance to take screenshots, so you can read all of that to yourself later, and I'll move on, and I'll go to the Dow. Okay, now you can see yesterday we triggered and ran up 39 points, got back below the trigger, ran up 87 points, back below the trigger, ran up 76 points, back below the trigger, ran up 107 points. Important prices at important areas are almost always tested, and that there's no finer example than that right there. Okay. And we see it all the time. It's not like, you know, something that occasionally happens. It happens daily. Not every market daily, but it happens daily. Okay, so on the Dow last night we said to consider buying 25,430. Okay, and so that would be right here, and there's no trigger. Okay. We also said if the opportunity presents, you want to sell 25,290, and no trigger. Okay, and I was really trying to do the exact same thing with the S&P because I just didn't want you to get caught up in this mess. So on the Russell, we said to consider buying 1690, and I think that was good for 2 points at $50 per point, so it's $100 per contract, or your daily goal. Okay, and the swing high was 92.3, so that's 23, well, it's $230. $230 per contract traded. I've always said, or since I started doing it this way, per contract available, PCA, but I think PCT. I was dwelling on this last night. So the market made $230 available per contract traded. So where I used to put PCA, I'm going to try to remember to put PCT. Okay. Now, on the flip side of the Russell, consider selling 1664. Don't think, well, if we trigger the Russell on the short side today, oh, look out. All right, NQ, we already looked at that. Consider buying 72.20, and this run up was good for $340 per contract traded. I typed in an answer to your question. Bob S. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw what I typed in, but your question, for the benefit of the audience, do you still use the 8-tick stop on this gold swing trade? No. I teach you in the one-on-one mentoring sessions, if you're a Concierge Trade Alert client, I teach you how to read the chart, and the chart will tell you exactly where to put your stop loss, your hard physical stop loss. What we don't want to do is we don't want to risk more than $300 per contract per trade. And the reason for that is if you've got to risk more than $300 per contract per trade, there's almost assuredly a better, higher probability trade setup happening right now or on its way to the trigger. Because I send you 8 markets, 2 trades per market, and because important prices and important areas are almost always tested, those 16 trade ideas can turn into 20, 30, 40 actual triggers during that next trading session. And as soon as they hit your inbox at night, they're good to go. And they remain valid until the next night hits your inbox. Okay? So that's the NQ on crude. Crude has changed, whatever that means. Well, let's see what we did. On crude, the alert was to consider buying a 66.40. Okay. Man, you see, if I go up here and click that, suddenly, well, it worked a minute ago. Yeah, see, I got the little white cursor, but if I take it over to the other screen and come back, oh, it's still there this time. Oh, I know what it was when I touched this. Is that when it went? Yeah, see, as soon as I click that, it goes away. So, I guess I'll have to figure it out later today. Alright, so the trigger was 66.40. And on the first move, we made it up to 66.59. So that's $190 per contract traded. Now, we never get out at the swing high or swing low because we trail a stop. If you trail a stop, you're expecting at some point the market will come back and take you out. Okay. Now, if you're a partner and a Concierge Trade Alert client, you should, when you get a trade that really starts to develop into something, better than the average bear, you want to be running the indicators, not to tell you when to get into the trade, but so that you can see the exit signal when it appears. All right, and this one we went from 66.40 up to, so that's $300 per contract traded. And now it's coming back to me why I use the available, because anyone who traded this did not make $300 per contract traded, unless you're Karnak and you just knew to get out then. The market comes back, you're trailing your stop, it takes you out. So I may have to go back to the per contract available, because I don't want anyone to be confused or misunderstand. Now also on crude, we said to consider selling 65.55. And 65.55. Is that right? 65.55. Yes. No trigger. Okay. Gold. gold, the alert last night said consider buying 1304 if the opportunity presents. Well, the swing high last night was 1304 on the nose. Now, we talked about this a little bit last week, how it's interesting that often price will run right to the trigger, right to the number, and then do an about face and go the other way. And it's because of that that people always say, well, should I buy the exact number or wait for a close above? Or, well, discretionary trading, you get to make the decision. However, whatever decision you make, it has to be carved in stone for every trade, every discretionary trade that you take. You can't flip-flop back and forth because you'll never have consistent results from inconsistent trading. Okay? It's just like you can't get the right answer if you ask the wrong question. Now, on gold, we also said consider selling 1293, and there was no trigger there. Soybeans, consider buying 978. Nope. And selling 958. 958, we actually got a nibble on that one. Now, these went out a little late last night. What time? 11:15 Eastern. So that's going to be 23. Yeah, okay, so that's just fine. 958. Just right there. Yeah, okay. So from 958 down to 952, should scale this out a little bit. That's 6 points. At $50 per point, pays just like the S&P. That'll be $300 per contract available. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and switch that back now because I don't want somebody to take a look at the chart later and go, well, wait a minute, you know. So, when I'm not here to explain it, it's just better, I guess. But, what do I know? Okay. Okay. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. And so, selling that number, 958. 958 is right there. 958 down to 952, 6 points, $50 a point, $300 per contract. This one has dropped to 9. We're going to call it, we're going to round it up to 955. So that's 3 points. That's $150 per contract. Worse things could happen. Okay. If anybody wants to take a screenshot of this, because we'll keep this chart running. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? You never know when you're going to crash. So, File, Workspaces, Save As, 061218. So if my platform crashed this afternoon or this evening, I don't lose all this hard work. Alright, 1310's the entry. First target, second target, third target, and the final. 1 second. I'll be right back. Well, nothing like springtime in the desert. Bring it on. Okay. See if there's any other questions. Now, Bob S., that question you had on the stop loss for that gold trade, and that would be for any concierge trade alert, any discretionary trades that I put out. If you book a one-on-one mentoring session, I'll be happy to spend some time with you, and we get our stop loss and our target from the chart. We could, buy it from some guru, or watch the talking heads on CNBC, or we could ask the market. And I've found that the most reliable answer generally comes from the market. So that'll take care of that. Dennis Rodman. Now this is, oh, Jim, I know you're just probably pulling my leg, but I'll give you some airtime. Jim says Dennis Rodman said he would go out with Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, Woman of the Year, in a second. He was married to Carmen Electra. Will the rare coin guy be on today, as you said yesterday? No. What I said yesterday is that he'll be on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I said that I would talk about this thing that's coming your way. I wanted to have the website, at least the homepage, completed by today's show, and I don't have it completed. So tomorrow's Wednesday. I'll spend about probably 20-30 minutes on this topic Wednesday and on Thursday. And then our very special guest will be with us on Friday, and then we'll be doing a webinar Saturday afternoon, and then he's going to be with us once or twice a week for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, many of you will remember Craig Smith. He's the CEO over at Swiss America. He's been on the show a number of times. Really nice guy. And then one of the guys that works for him that does a lot of his social media stuff, he came on with us for a while. I guess we never really hit it off or something, because I think he called me and then I called him, and then we never called each other back. And so anyway, that's the way it goes sometimes. Let's see what else we got here. He was married to Carmen Electra. Now, I don't know Carmen, but as I recall, she was a very attractive lady. She was. Karen shares, I just think it's pretty incredible how Trump has accomplished all that he has against all of the headwind that he's faced with the media, Trump haters. Not many could do what he has. Karen, I could not agree with you more. My wife and I sit and, as people of a certain age often do, in our matching Lazy Boy recliners. And yes, we watch the fair and balanced news. It is, most presidents, if they had the support of every person in the country, and that's never happened and never will happen, but if everybody was on his side and everybody was cheering him on, or cheering any president on, I don't think they could have accomplished all that he has accomplished. I think that the negative blowback has egged him on to do an even better job to make America even greater again. I wrote something about Roseanne last night. What was that? Well, I'll read it to you tomorrow if I find it. It was in an email. It wasn't a public. Oh, and Joan, I gotta say, thank you very much. And that thing you asked me to do, we did, and we'll continue to do so. But Joan sent me an email the other night, and she said, I was reading through some of the recent stuff that you wrote, and I really think you should trademark this saying or whatever it is you do with a saying. And I've got it right here, and it would be my pleasure to show it to you. So hang on just a second. How could one person have that many folders open? Doesn't matter. I'll just open another one. Really? Or maybe not. I think I may have told you. I walked in. My wife walked in the other day. I was in the kitchen doing something, and she said, "Honey, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Why? And she goes, "Well, you're talking to yourself." And I said, "Yeah." I said, I think lots of people do that. And she said, "Well, yeah, but you're also answering yourself." I said, "Well, anything else would just be rude. I mean, if somebody's talking to you, you know, you're not going to answer." My daughter has that down pat. When she's in trouble, she's done something wrong, she goes from being this incredibly vibrant, intelligent, outgoing young lady, and she becomes a low talker. Thanks, Seinfeld. She becomes a low talker and a slow walker. Get up to your room. 15 minutes later, I look up and she's made it up 3 stairs. "Emily, what are you doing?" Low talking. Anyway, I bother you guys too much with my child rearing problems. So I was going to show you that picture. Or actually, I added the picture. It was the words that I had written. And at the time, I thought, that does sound pretty clever. But you can get yourself in trouble if you think you're too clever. In fact, the Bible says, be careful that you don't think too highly of yourself. So, yeah. Okay. Where'd it go? I made a whole thing. Maybe it's in here? No. Okay, I'm just going to come out and say it. This confuses me. On my Windows 10, that I've told you about a million times now, why do I have like 3 different download folders and 3 different document folders and 3 different picture folders? Pictures. Well, bottom line is I don't know. I don't know why. It seems very redundant. And yes, I have like a petabyte of storage space now, but I don't see any sense in saving all that stuff multiple times. Okay. Alright, so we're in the downloads folder now. And, well, folks, if I'd have known it was going to take this long to find it, I'd have planned ahead or something, I guess. Where did it? Oh, there it is. Okay. I guess the most recent version would be this one. Now, yep, you can see it. What I had written, I was just writing some commentary on the blog or somewhere. When the bid hits the fan, okay? Now, you could be pro-Bitcoin or you could be anti-Bitcoin. But when the bid hits the fan, that could mean when it goes back to 20 grand or if it goes to 20 cents. No matter which direction it goes, there are going to be a lot of happy people, a lot of unhappy people, a lot of FOMO people. They feared missing out and did. Okay. So, this was, she said, you know, that's really got a ring to it. You should figure a way to make it yours. So, I said, well, what I'll do is I'll get it out on the internet and I will show the first fair use of it. And I don't think anybody's going to try to take it, but you never know. Some columnist, I might have to, you know, email some guy at the New York Times and go, excuse me, sir, but I own that. And he'll go, well, you can't own when the bid hits the fan. And I'm going to say, yeah, well, actually, you can. So, but this is Frank Lee. You know, like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay? Yeah, Frank Lee. I've been working with this character for a while. He is always late, and he usually tries to make up for it by leaving early. And he's just, boy, he's an angry guy. He really is. We're gonna go somewhere with this. I'm not exactly sure where and how it's gonna play out. Either I gotta find another voice. Anyone who wants to apply, please do. Or I gotta get some kind of voice changing software. I don't know. So I can sound like I'm really angry and irate for like 30 minutes a day. I can do that. Okay, back to the questions. So Bob, you're going to book a mentoring session. Beautiful. Karen, couldn't have said it better. In fact, my wife and I say it every day, that he's doing a good job, you know. And let me tell you, now my wife is very much a conservative, but she was not a Trump person prior to this election cycle. She just, you know, she didn't hate him or anything, but she was no fan. She is very much a fan now. and she understands that he said some things that, you know, don't put him in the best light, and he said some demeaning things about women, and that really ticks me off. I guess it's how I was raised in the South. I just believe women should be treated with great respect, whether they deserve it or not. Okay? And you never, I mean, sometimes you might say something and it just slips out and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But you never, ever, ever put your hand on a woman unless she's your wife and then you're hugging her. Okay? Not. Now, I did not grow up around physical violence. Actually, I did see my mom slap my dad when I was like 6. They got divorced, and they remained great friends until they both passed recently. My dad hit it on his 5th marriage was a great one. It lasted 30 some odd years, and my mom, I think her lucky number was 4. I think. Where's all this stuff come from? On her 4th marriage, that one lasted until my stepfather passed away. So, oh, that's right. And then she married again after he passed away. So, long story. Great people. Love God, love people, you know. Okay. All right, we've covered all the markets. We have looked at Frank Lee. I thank Joan and Karen for their participation. I'm with Jim for once on the whole Rodman thing. That's just odd. We talked about the rare coin guy. Okay. Right now, he is, until I get the website up and going. Oh, why? See, you never know which one of these folders to look in. He is our mystery guest. I might keep you in suspense until Friday. And the website's looking real good. If I can show it to you without exposing the domain, because I don't want people going there looking at it until I'm done. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Oh. Maybe I can. Yeah. I'll snip it. And this is the greatest little, if you don't use the snipping tool, maybe you don't know about it. I don't know. But I'm a big fan of the snipping tool. Okay. Where'd you go? There you are. New. You gotta get out of the way. Okay. Oh, you know what? Because I'm snipping it, you're not going to be able to see the clouds roll in. Well, that's too bad. But you know what? Come Friday or before. Oh, sweet. That looks awesome. I'm going to figure out this whole browser thing. Our mode. Freeform snip. Window snip. Oh, I don't know. Delay? What would I be delaying? Oh well. You get the idea. It's very beautiful, and I've put a lot of time into it already, and I'll get it finished. So that gives you something to look forward to, right? To the end of the week. Yeah. Well, those clouds are magical. You could just like stare at them and meditate. So, all right, let's get this show over with our good word for the day. Now we started a new topic yesterday. I don't know who all these people are calling me, but if they're calling to give me money, I need to get off this radio and accept their kind offer. The kindness of strangers. All right, we started talking yesterday about being heartsick. Hope delayed. No. I guess I'm going to have to look at it. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Is that how the scripture went? Hang on. I got it right here. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. Yeah, Proverbs 13:12. Okay. So now, giddy up. Part 2. Isaiah 40:29. He gives power to the weak. Amen to that. We say things like, as long as there's life, there's hope. Or we say something like, hope is tying a knot in the rope and holding on, believing things will get better. But when hope seems delayed or denied, mental and emotional illness can cause some people to look for a permanent way out. Suicide excludes God. Now, I certainly don't mean to touch any raw nerves here, but this is something that needs to be talked about. We've seen it in public figures here lately. Now, Anthony Bourdain, I don't know how much he was worth financially. I'm guessing he was doing fine. And the drug thing with him, the more articles I read, it doesn't seem like that was the old Anthony Bourdain. You know, he had some issues, but then he got treatment or whatever, and I didn't find anything that says he was currently having the problem. I misread the first article. Now, Kate Spade, I forget the numbers, but her and her husband started this purse, or in the Deep South, they call them pocketbooks. And they had plenty of millions of dollars. They sold half the company, then they sold the other half. I don't know. I guess in total, maybe they made $50 million on the deal. And they started it in their apartment, shipping them out. It's just like one of the stories off of the Mark Cuban Star Vehicle program that comes on at night. Shark Tank, yeah. Okay, so life was good. They had a daughter, and she had no money problems. Well, I can't say that for sure, but at least I don't. She shouldn't have, unless she got a really bad gambling problem or something. There should have been no money problems. So see, money doesn't buy you happiness. Okay. I mean, maybe the truth will come out at some point, and maybe it already has, and I just haven't read it. But why would a woman in the prime of her life, who has the American dream, lived in a beautiful, home, and money to burn, a child, I mean, incredible, and she took her life. Okay. Now, sometimes people poke fun at the depressed people. The ordinary kind of depression that comes and goes. I guess that's fair game for a comedian. But clinical depression, it's a very serious issue. And if you're going through it or know someone who is going through it, encourage, either you go get help or encourage them to talk to somebody, It's off the charts. The percentage of Americans, per capita, whatever, who take their own life has soared. And we aren't even talking about like the medically assisted suicide things. We're talking about people that just up and surprise everybody around them and take their life. So this is serious business. Suicide excludes God. When you take your life, there's nothing more He can do for you. It leaves a legacy of unresolved pain that will live on in the hearts of your loved ones. For generations, Christian leaders have debated and disagreed on the question of suicide. But every one of them believes these words. Proverbs 12:25. Anxiety in the heart of man causes depression. And depression left undealt with can end in self-destruction. It may not be the result of a bullet or a drug overdose. It may be a decision to stop eating or overeat or stop reaching for help because the help they've received has not worked. The end result, it's the same. The Mental Health Foundation in Britain reports that women are almost twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety disorder as men. I think from the 60s, we can remember, the little blue pill, mother's little helper, they used to call it, Valium, whatever gets you through the day. So if it's happening in Britain, I'm pretty sure it's happening all over. Women are almost twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety disorders as men. Doesn't mean they're. It's not because they're the weaker sex. That's it. I don't buy into that. It's just the chemistry. I don't know. People in low-income families are reportedly 2 to 3 times more likely to develop mental health problems than those in higher income families. Can the Bible offer some comfort? Yes. Isaiah 40:29 says this: He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fail. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. If you know someone who's clinically depressed, don't say, well, he's just waiting on the Lord, you know. That's not what that means. Talk to them. Let them know that they are loved. Make sure they understand that even if they're suffering from some kind of low self-esteem because of something they did or want to do, are doing, help them to see the value that other people see in them, how important they are to other people. So, while a self-centered person might, without a second thought, take their life, if you can help them to understand that, yeah, turning out your own lights may make this temporary pain go away, but we're dealing with an eternal picture here, and all the people you leave behind are going to struggle the rest of their life wondering, why didn't they notice? They could have done something. The last time they called and said, can we talk, you said, I'm running out the door, I got the PTA meeting, but I'll call you tomorrow. I don't want to be that person on that end of the phone call, and neither do you. So, you know, I'm not saying get up in everybody's business around you, but be aware of your surroundings. Be aware when someone is out of sorts. We had a young man in our church back, I guess it's been maybe a year, 2 years now. Kind of a quiet guy. Nobody knew him real well, but he was there every Sunday, always, you know, happy to help, you know, and serve in whatever capacity he was needed. And then all of us, one day we all got notified. Gone. Took his life. So, even if no one you know is contemplating taking their life, suicide, clinical depression hurts all over, just like the commercial says. And no one wants to see someone else suffer, especially someone you care about, be it friend, be it family, whatever the case might be. And also broaching this whole thing can be, you know, a bit awkward. But swallow your pride. Go in with love. You know, hey, you know, the way you mope around, what a jerk. You got a good job, you got a good wife, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Well, that's not why they're depressed. Hello? Can we talk? Yeah, what's up? That's how they're going to answer. Yeah, what's up? What do you want to talk about? What's going on? That, right there, that's what's going on. I don't know what you mean. I was going to lay down. Is there something else you need to tell me? Yeah, sit down. Let's talk, you know? Just tell them what you see and what you're feeling, and say, now, I care about you. I love you. Whatever your relationship is, I want to help you. But can't help until you tell me what's going on. What are you feeling? Why are you depressed? Now, some people know why they're depressed. Like I said, it's something they've done, something they're going to do, something they're currently doing. But some people are going to look at you and, in all honesty, say, I don't know. Whoa, hang on. You got a nice house, a nice car, a nice wife, nice kids, and everybody likes you. But you're so depressed and you don't know why? You have no idea? That could be one of the cases where it's simply a chemical imbalance in the brain. That happens. Okay? And while I'm not a proponent of immediately putting someone on the antidepressants or these other things, you know what? If that's what it takes, if there is a chemical imbalance in their brain, and if doctors can balance it out with some kind of medication that's actually better for you than harmful for you. And we talked about the commercials the other day, the pharmaceutical. 60 seconds, you get 5 seconds of pitching the medicine and 55 seconds warning you that all your body parts could potentially fall off. So whoever it is around you, you know, just be aware, okay? When you go to church, when you go to the office, when you're over at the neighbor's house, look for something different. If your neighbor has always kept a house neat as a pin, a place for everything and everything in its place, and you go over and not just maybe one time, but over a couple of visits, you notice that it's 4 in the afternoon and the bed's not made. Now, we learned this back when we were running halfway houses. A guy could be doing great. He's got 60 days sobriety. He's looking forward to that 90-day chip. And Robert, my go-to guy, he would call me and say, hey, Dwayne, so-and-so didn't make his bed. Oh, man, you're kidding me. He's like, no, I'm sorry to have to break the news to you. Jump in my car, start patrolling, you know, the neighborhood, hitting the crack houses and the bars, everywhere else, trying to find them. If they were heroin addicts, you didn't have to go to the crack house because they wouldn't be there. And if they were crack addicts, you didn't have to go to the shooting gallery because they wouldn't be there. So you kind of knew where to go look and pull them out, pull them back in, sober them up, and go at it again. So these little kinds of signs, but your neighbor, house neat as a pin all the time, every time, then for the last month, every time you go over, there's dust and clutter. Clutter is a really big one. But nothing rings the bell to me like not making the bed. You know, I was taught as a child, when you arise in the morning, first thing you do, you make that bed. Now that may sound so simplistic and so elementary, and somebody saying, boy, I'm glad he's not my doctor. Well, I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on the radio. But if you will, just be aware, be mindful, be here now when you're with people. You'll start to pick up on things, and then you have an opportunity to discuss. No, don't beat them up with their problem. But you have an opportunity to, if not save a life, alleviate some suffering. And who doesn't or wouldn't want to do that? I think we all would. So point them to Jesus. Now, don't just point them to Jesus and say, I'll pray for you and I hope you feel better. No. Point them to Jesus and help them to understand that he gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fail. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. You may not have the power to make them better, but God does, because He made them, right? And if they will turn to Him, there's an answer in there somewhere. Okay? So, that's our good word for the day. Not a happy topic, not something you want to talk about, but it's something that needs to be talked about. I'm going to run Portfolio Builders class tomorrow night. We got new additions to the portfolio. We'll be talking more tomorrow in detail, probably about 20-30 minutes each day on investment grade gold. Very special guest on Friday, and then the very special guest will be joining me Saturday afternoon for the webinar. And I do hope you'll all turn out, because what we're going to discuss is important. It's important to your financial well-being. Now, you know how this GLD and SOV puts me on tilt, because people are tricked into believing that they actually have gold in their portfolio and silver in their portfolio, when nothing could be further from the truth. They don't. They have a piece of paper that the prospectus says, yeah, we might use your money to buy a little gold, and we might not. In fact, they kind of make it obvious if you dig deep enough into that prospectus, they're not going to buy any gold. But it's called GLD, yeah? But it's just a piece of paper. If you can't hold it in your hand, it is not real gold. Oh, yes, it is. I got bullion in a warehouse back in Chicago, and I got the warehouse receipt. No. Well, yeah, you do. But it's a piece of paper. When the bid hits the fan, right, you going to drive to Chicago and get it out of the warehouse? Is the guy going to meet you on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday morning so you can get your bullion out of that warehouse? I don't think so. No. And that's if there's even anything in the warehouse. Oh, you know what? They have cameras, and I go to a certain secret web address they gave me, and that camera's pointing right at, I can see my bullion. Yeah. How many other people are looking at that same picture, that same link? It aggravates me for a number of different reasons, a number of different levels. One is that it artificially depresses the price of gold and silver, because people are buying this paper and thinking that they own precious metals. No, 10% of 10% of my portfolio, precious metals, just 10% in whatever, a diversified portfolio. Now, as far as a trading vehicle goes, you can use GLD and SOV for that. But why would you? Why would you, when you can buy gold and silver futures and have access to this incredible leverage? I mean, I don't know. If you have a good argument for that, I'd love to have you come on the show and explain it to me and to the rest of the audience. Because I've been banging the desk for a long time that it's garbage. And Jim, what have you got, Jim? How could Robin Williams at 62 just hang himself, almost like David Carradine, Kung Fu? Sometimes they just do. We cannot see through their eyes. They feel they are doing everyone a favor. Yeah, that's sad. I have a friend who used to live with David Carradine. Oh, they were just roommates. There was no romance. My friend Danny Stanato was a stuntman, and so he did work on the Kung Fu set. And him and David Carradine, they became friends, and they got an apartment together, sharing the expenses. And he said when they would sit down and smoke the bong, some of you might know what that is, he said, give it 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, Carradine's just flying through the air, all over the apartment, kicking this, chopping men up, chopping men down. It's an ancient Chinese art. Everybody knew their part. Yeah, so what are you going to do? David Carradine. Huh. That show was really pivotal in my childhood. I had been bused to, it was the beginning of segregation, or integration, or whatever. Yeah, integration. And me and 3 other white guys got bused to an all-black junior high school in the Deep South. And the most popular show on television at the time was Kung Fu. And yes, we got our backside spanked daily. Actually, it was a lucky day that we got it spanked. Usually we got kicked upside the head several times. And I tried to tell them, hey guys, you know, I'm not so sure this whole integration thing is going to work out. I didn't have a problem being there. I was perfectly happy to be there, but they didn't want me there. And I don't want to be anywhere that somebody doesn't want me. Neither nobody does, right? So, but we survived, right? Here we are today, decades later. Okay, this is where I say thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.